and welcome back. Hello, and thank you for joining me for part three, the final part of our building a fledgling classical music collection, where I give some of my recommendations for some of the recordings that you might start off a bare bones skeleton classical music collection, if you're of a mind to. So we just left off with Tchaikovsky, my Tchaikovsky picks for your collection. I said we'd finished. I wasn't entirely truthful because I wanted to throw in this. This is again back to Naxos. This is a great pianist's collection from Naxos. I think they have great conductors as well and great tenors or something. Quite a few series of Naxos, which are very good. Not much money, so great for a collection if you're buying them in CD physical form versions. And of course, you get the great, which I haven't covered yet. I talked about the Brahms violin concerto. This is the Brahms piano concerto, the second, very famous second, beloved second, and of course the Tchaikovsky concerto, the first, number one. Which we have gone over with Marta Agerich in the live 1994 performance, but this is the, again, renowned, famous, beloved Horowitz versions with the NBC Symphony Orchestra. There we go, and Arturo Toscanini. And these are historic recordings. This is from 1940 and 1941. So if you'd like these, they have a bit of a magic to them, these really. Without knowing it, I listened to the Tchaikovsky one, this Horowitz recording, as a child in my grandmother's house many times, without knowing it. It was this recording, so highly recommended if you'd like both at a bit of a cut price. If you're after the Brahms piano concertos, there is a double CD. I think again it's Deutsche Grammophon. I think it's the originals. It's Emil Gilels. That's my favourite version recording probably, and highly recommend again for your fledgling sort of classical music collection. I have got it somewhere, but I can't find it. But again, highly recommended. You get both concertos. Gilels, unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Again, tragically left us and the music world far too early, far too young an age. So that's Brahms and Tchaikovsky dealt with. Now we're jumping on. Again, we're jumping. Don't forget, this is a skeleton collection we're talking about here. This is what basic recommendations for your basic collection. Let's move on to. Before we move on to Elgar, before we sort of move on to the early 20th century, I've left out a personal favourite from childhood, actually, which I would have in mind, and I do have in mind as a part of my starter collection. I think is one of the earliest CDs I did buy. As I say, I've loved these since I was a little boy, and that was Willy Boskowski's Strauss the Younger Waltzes collection of Strauss the Younger Waltzes, I think on EMI originally, from the 70s, early to mid 70s, with the Vienna Philharmonica, who of course he was the leader of the Vienna Philharmonica then. So highly recommend that if you, like me, love your Strauss waltzes, and you get Roses from the South, you get Tales from the Vienna Woods, you get Wine, Women and Song, you get the Morning Papers, you even get the Radetzky March from Father Strauss, if you want to put it that way. Wonderful recordings. Again, the standard recordings for me of the waltzes. So anyway, that's just an aside, a footnote. Again, I've got it somewhere, but I can't remember where it is. And I didn't see it, obviously, when I was picking out my selections. So let's move on to Elgar. There we are. A composer, of course, who now sort of spans the late 19th into the early 20th century. Edward Elgar, and of course I'm going for possibly the standard collector's recording from Nigel Kennedy and Simon Rattle, before he was Sir Simon Rattle, with the Birmingham the Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra. And also, he was Sir Simon Rattle by this point. My old city, Birmingham. I never got to see the symphony orchestra, although one of my teachers at high school in Birmingham was, I think, one of the trombonists. No, one of the tuba players for the symphony orchestra, I believe, if my memory is correct. Back in the 80s. There we are. So this is from '97, this recording. The old bulldog on there, there he is. Love bulldogs. So that's and you get Vaughan Williams' Lark Ascending as well, so another cost-effective must-have for your collection if you love it that well. And to give you another classic but alternative historic selection of Elgar for your collection. Elgar Conducts Elgar. There we are. As you can see, that again from Naxos. Wonderful music publishing company, Naxos. Fantastic range of historic recordings. And these are Elgar conducting his own works, obviously. And we've got, let's see, you've got the Royal Albert Hall Orchestra, the London Symphony Orchestra, the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and these are recorded between 1926 and 1933, and you get the Enigma variations. There we are, you see that. Get the Pomp and Circumstance marches, 1 to 5, I think, yes. The Cockaigne Overture, all from Elgar himself. There's a great man. Highly recommend this. Not much money, of course, like all the rest of our Naxos selections. And now moving on, so this is not too long a video. Elgar again. Now this is again going back to the great performances from the EMI collection. Great recordings of the century. There we are. That's the series. As you can see there. Great recordings of the century. And this, of course, is the Cello Concerto. Elgar's Cello Concerto with Jacqueline du Pré and Sir John Barbirolli. With the, is this the LSO? Let me just. Can't quite see. Yes, London Symphony Orchestra. And the Philharmonia, actually, because you also get Dame Janet Baker singing Sea Pictures, which again on its own is just worth the CD price, to be honest. Absolutely magical, both performances and both pieces, magical. Extremely well respected recording, a must have again for your collection. What year were these? I think these are from the 60s. Oops. Pretty sure they're from the 60s. It's 63 and, what does that say, 65. 63 and 65. And you also get concert overture for Cockaigne in London Town again, which my grandfather had selected for his funeral, which was lovely. Always reminds me of that. So there we go, that's Elgar again. And let's move on, let's race on to, of course we can't not have Puccini. Again, we've got I think I've only got one selection here, but Tosca, of course, Puccini's most popular opera, I will say. Another great recording, EMI again, Callas again, standard recording, again, the Alla Scala series here, recording, so it'll be live when you get Di Stefano, Callas, and this time Mr. Gobi. The triumvirate, I suppose, the great three. What more could you ask? And this is conducted by Vittorio de Sabata. Let's see, what's the year on this recording? If I can find it, my eyes will work. 1953. So this is a bit of a classic recording. 1953, EMI. What series is this? Yes, this is. I'm not sure if there's a series per se, but Anyway, EMI, 1953. La Scala, Di Ciabatta, Callas, Di Stefano, and Gobi. There we are. That's a great Baron Scarpia. Wonderful, wonderful. If you love opera, you're going to love that. This recording. Now here again. Now this is a perfect example of finding this on a different, because you're going to have to, because I don't think this exists anymore. But finding this on a different, with a different label, on a different label. Sorry, this is Disky. I'm not sure Disky even exists. This is one of the first classical music CDs I ever bought, double CDs, and probably the first opera or couple of operas I bought. I didn't really know what I was buying at the time. This is from the early mid-90s when I got this, I believe. So what we have here is Cavern Pag, Pagliacci and Cavalleria Rusticana, often performed together because they're both so short. So they're both just two-act operas. Classics, of course, of the turn of the century, last century. And again, we have classic recordings. We have, you'll be able to find these again, like I want to show you, on EMI. There are EMI versions of these, as I've just shown you. Same series, I think, Alla Scala. 1954, written on there. That's a 1954 Alla Scala performance with Callas, with Gobi, with Di Stefano, as our previous Puccini recommendation was. I think these are conducted by Ciabatta. I could be wrong. Try to see if it tells me. Let's see. Doesn't tell me. Oh no, sorry, Tullio Serafin. And then we have Cavalleria Rusticana, Rustic Chivalry, of course, 1953, and that'll be Alla Scala as well on EMI. Callas, Gobi, Di Stefano. Both very, very famous recordings, just like the Tosca, classic recordings. Highly recommend them. Again, you can find them on Spotify. 53 and 54. For Pagliacci and Alla Scala. Pagliacci the Clowns, of course. Wonderful recordings. And let's move on to Mahler. Again, you'll find this, probably won't find this on this old HMV Classics cheap version, but the same recording will be on the EMI. You'll find it on the EMI label, most likely, to be honest. This is Mahler's Symphony No. 5, if you're going to start with Mahler. This is the famous one, with the Death in Venice movement. There we are, from Mahler. Klaus Tenstedt. There we are, and it's with the London Philharmonic, and it's from 1988. There we are, and a must-have for a starter Mahler collection. Again, you could choose so many Symphony 5s of Mahler from so many different orchestras and conductors, including, and I suppose, including and amongst all the others for a more modern version, this man and the Berlin Phil. Now, as we move on to Debussy, and this is La Mer from Debussy, the sea. There we go, with Sir Simon. This was from early on with when he moved to over to Berlin to a big chief conductor of the Berlin Phil. EMI again. Wonderful recording of La Mer. If you like a bit of Debussy in your collection, to start your collection. Bill and Phil, Sir Simon Rattle. I think this was 2005 or 6. Let's see. It's not quite telling me, but I think it was 2005. Yeah. So right at the beginning of his tenure at the Berlin Phil. Wonderful recording there. There we go. What have we got there? Debussy. Here's my Rachmaninoff pick. Now again, this is for symphonies, piano concertos 2 and 3. Of course, number 2, the second concerto, is the Brief Encounter concerto, if you will. famously in brief encounter throughout the film. But this is, I could have given you almost any again version of the second piano concerto, 2 and 3. Again with Gilels, again with Horowitz, or with whoever, really, many people. But I've chosen this because this is quite inexpensive. If you're buying the CD version, this was inexpensive, and it's a wonderful recordings by Yefim Bronfman, Esa-Pekka Salonen conducting. Yefim Bronfman on piano there. This is Essential Classics from Sony, as the two Glenn Goldberg variations were from Sony Classics. There we are. This was not much. This was second hand. This was not much at all. A few pounds, if that, I think, on Amazon. Recommend that. Again, you can pick almost any for 2 and 3, but you need 2 and 3 in your collections, whoever you choose. From Rachmaninoff. And let's move on to another. You can see this is a bit through the walls, been through the walls, nearly finished here on the version. Been through the walls, and this is Sir Simon Rattle again. Again, I think this is 2006, this one. Yes, 2006, the year later, year on from our Le Maire with Debussy. This is, as you can see, Holst the Planets. There we go. This was a bit of a big deal, as I remember, when it came out. It was highly recommended by Gramophone at the time. Still have the edition, I think. And with this, you get Holst the Planets, and you also get, which at the time were commissioned by Sir Simon and the Berlin Phil, extra works, which I don't know. I say word tag on to the end, really, of the planets, but in the same sort of, in the same. How can I put it? With the idea of being the same sort of musical idea. Obviously they don't sound the same because from different composers they've been commissioned, but the same idea basically of sort of celestial works, I suppose. Then you get Ceres by Mark Anthony Turnage. You get Towards Osiris by Matthias Pincher. Kamarov's Fall by Brett Dean, etc., etc. You can get a making of actually as well. I think if you stick it in your computer's CD-ROM player, I think, from memory. There we are. So that's another must. And to finish off, yes, we're finished. It's part 3. We're finished. Of course, you can carry on if you want to. You can go back and fill in the gaps. Like there's so many. There's so many recordings of so many composers I haven't gone into because this is our bare bones collection. But let's finish off with I've gone back at Gershwin, sorry. It's been a long three segments. Gershwin. Again, it's an overview of Gershwin from Deutsche Grammophon. Different performances, different conductors, different orchestras. But this is a very good cost-effective way of getting a good overview of Gershwin's more famous, popular works for your beginning selection from Deutsche Grammophon. Can't really go wrong. Greatest classic hits. There we are. Very marketable. And of course you get Rhapsody in Blue, An American in Paris, Prelude for Piano No. 2, The Cuban Overture, Poor Jim Bess, Suite, Catfish Row. And the performers are the Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra with Leonard Bernstein and the Chicago Symphony Orchestra with Mr. James Levine. Again, I'm not quite sure which pronunciation I should use, but there we are. So that's I can recommend that. But again, you can take a pick of your preferred recordings from those. So that's me, that's it. I'm not going to go on anymore because we could literally go on for another 2 or 3 days and many more segments and videos, but I'm not going to. That's a good overview, I think, of creating the bare bones of your classical music CD collection, even a classical music collection version of these CDs on your, as I say, Spotify, iTunes, and your favourite streaming service. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm sure you'll disagree with me on some of the choices. Maybe you'll agree with me on some or many. Who else, or what else would you have stuck in there? Bear in mind, you're supposed to have one or two recordings, selections for each. This is a bare bones starter collection, of course, for each great composer. So you can't fit in all the composers, of course. Great composers, great pieces, to get a flavour of a good overview and flavour of the past 300-400 years of classical music. So thanks for watching. Hopefully we're back to normal soon enough. If not, I'll think of something else to do, which I hope you'll find just as interesting. I hope you found this interesting. Yeah, look after yourselves, take care, and enjoy the last few weeks of summer. Ciao for now.